Habitual Gamer on YouTube, bringing you another sweet little explanation tutorial. Now, this one's going to cover the map and guidelines in question. So, oh, yeah, let me just go back to this and cancel this out. Maybe just go something else. Whoa. All right, let's go. So now let's go ahead and jump over to the map. Now, a lot of people have been asking and putting out on the channel, hey, what's the blue lines? What's the red lines? What's going on? What's everything? Well, I'm actually going to cover that for you, and it'll start to make sense as we come along. So first of all, let me cover the blue lines. Now, the blue lines, as we know, this season is called the Resistance, correct? Yeah, buddy. So with the season called Resistance, the red is actually the red lines represent IO controlled areas, okay, and the blue lines represent the resistance controlled areas. In other words, like friendlies, us, you and me. Okay, so and a little bit more intense, the red areas is where you can actually find IO blimps. Like there's a blimp, there's a blimp, there's a blimp, there's a blimp, there's a blimp. You see that? But there's no blimps in the blue, right? Now, also IO tanks, which, by the way, there's two great areas. There's one right here and one right here. They're literally next to each other. But you can find other tanks that can be, like, scattered around. Like, you can see them even in Condo Canyon, Tilted Towers just outside. Even one that's sitting around here at Daily Bugle that runs along this little road right here by the perimeter of the blue. IO guards all throughout. Like if you jump on this blimp and aim straight down, there's IO guards. On every blimp, there's at least 2 IO guards. On this blimp, there's quite a couple, and then Saber. I mean, all the Command Cavern is IO guards. But there's also siege cannons. Now, you know those huge cannons that are like on the edge of all these little freaking blimps, but also they can be found like one's on top of the fortress, one's over here by this little IO shack. There's another one at Tilted Towers. I think it's like right over here by the front. Anyways, so those are the ones that you can actually launch yourself in and shoot. Now, they kind of suck if you ever just want to shoot at enemies. That you can't aim down directly at enemies. You can only aim at like I guess you could say like like a normal cannon. You shoot up at an angle and hope it comes down and hits somebody. But very rarely that happens. But hands down, they're more designed so like if you're on a blimp, you aim like someone's coming up the zip line, you can shoot the wall right above the door and it'll freaking kill them almost in one shot. So they do come in handy, but they just suck if you ever just use them on the ground. Now the blue lines is the Resistance, you and me, guys. This is where you can find the armored battle bus. Like over here in Sanctuary, there's one that's always parked like freaking right here on this little dirt road. But also the sentry guards. Okay, so sentry guards are usually, you know how you ever jump in a match and there's a bunch of like friendly characters, like even some of the collections, right? So you'll see a lot of the characters and they will be walking around in our territory. So like over here, right here, I think there's like the Origin or something like that, the Imagined. There's another one over here. I think he's the Scientist. I think the Visitor is like out here. And I mean, again, they're all within the blue areas. That is part of the Resistance, as you remember the intro video. If you don't remember the intro video, head back to my channel. It's literally the main video. Take a look at it. Okay, and then there's turrets. Now, like on the battle bus that's over here, there's actually individual turrets. Now, all around in the blue areas, because it's still pretty small, like you might be able to find like 1 or 2 turrets. Like over here, I know there's a turret. But over here in Sanctuary, like the battle bus pretty much covers it. Over here, I think there's 1 turret sitting on the ground. They may have moved it with the new previous update. But also, the weapons including in the blue areas, again, I'm only talking about the blue areas right now, are the Combat SMG, the Striker Burst Rifle. Like, these are great weapons. Don't get me wrong. The Striker Burst... I usually hate their freaking bursts, but this season I don't know what it is about the scope or the sight. Even though it's only a 2-shooter, like boo, it still does some good damage. It's pretty dang steady, and I like that. Way better hands down than the Ranger, but that's just my opinion. Then the Combat SMG, let's face it, that thing was OP until they freaking nerfed the crap out of it. Now instead of doing 44 per bullet, now it's doing 19 per bullet, and the same with the the Striker SMG. That one is actually just, it's doing like 17 per bullet. But anyways, the great thing, the one downfall is the blue Resistance. Yeah, they're arguably friendly to zones and can explore, although the IO red regions, so all this huge center, which is where you're fighting to take over, have some powerful tools, including like the IO tanks, power cannons, huge amount of health in these tanks, by the way. It's huge amount of health. Especially if you got one guy out back just healing and the tank's just shooting, like, I don't think they'll ever take it down. Like, it takes a whole team. But at the same time, the blimps, which you can zip up and down and claim loot inside the whole time. Like, let's face it, if someone's got it's the end game, someone's on top of the blimp and you're below, it's a 90% chance they're going to win. They have the high ground. They have cover. You know? You don't. You have a building. They'll just blow up the buildings. But so it's all about that throughout this season. So if you have any other questions, throw them down in the comments. I hope I answered all your individual questions. Again, in a nutshell, blue is the resistance, you and me, and we are fighting to take over the red, okay, which is the IO. All right. So the IO guards, the blimps, the crazy little siege cannons, the guards, all that stuff. All right. And as the season progresses and updates come out, hopefully we are taking over the IO, but eventually there will be a fight. They haven't announced where it will be centralized or what will all go on, or even if it'll just be a video like last time. But, you know, that's more to come. So make sure you smash that like, subscribe, catch me in the next videos, and I will help you guys out. All right. Woot woot! Banana time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I Love Earth Control reminding you to use that creator code ILUVBC in the item shop. It helps me to help you.